I knew something was wrong the second I saw that envelope sitting dead center on my porch, like someone placed it there on purpose. Red stamp. Thick paper. $50,000. 10 years of fees they claimed I owed, for land I've owned longer than their HOA has even breathed. My chest tightened. Every step outside felt like walking into a trap. Shadows lingered at the tree lean, not moving, just watching. And then the knocking started. Not polite. Not curious. Angry. Slow, deliberate hits on my door that shook the frame, followed by flashlights slicing across my fence like they were surveying prey. Neighbors started whispering words you never want to hear. Forced compliance. Expanding jurisdiction. They're going after him next. That's when I grabbed it. Not to use. Not yet. But because I needed them to understand something they kept pretending they didn't know. My land has rules. My rules. And the next knock, the next envelope, the next late-night threat they shoved at my door. I wasn't going to let it land. Not this time. Not on my property. But let me start at the beginning. Before we dive in, let me know where you're listening from today. I noticed the change before they ever said a word. A slow, creeping pressure at the edge of my land, like someone testing the lock on a door they had no right touching. My property has been here longer than every brick, shingle, and perfect lawn in that new HOA development beside me. My family built this place by hand. No committees. No fees. No neighbors telling us what color a shed should be. And the HOA hated that. It started with envelopes, soft, polite letters taped to my gate. Reminders. Requests. Suggested contributions. All sugar-coated threats. I threw them out. They got bolder. Cars crawled past with windows cracked and phones pointed at my house. Board members lingered along my fence pretending to walk dogs, but their eyes were on my landlines, measuring, recording, whispering. Every week they moved in a little closer. A clipboard tapping my gate at dusk. Flashlight beams sliding across my shed at midnight. Shadows walking away the moment I stepped onto the porch. This wasn't neighborly concern. This was a slow tightening, a circle drawing in around my land. Then the rumors reached me. Talk of expanding jurisdiction. Bringing the land into compliance. And the phrase that made my stomach drop. Absorbing the outlier property. Absorbing. My land. Land they didn't own. Land they had never touched. And then, one morning, I found a fresh boot print on the inside of my fence line. On my side. That's when I understood. They weren't building pressure. They were counting down. The first, official notice, was annoying. The second one was laughable. But the third, the one stamped in red and shoved so deep into my mailbox it bent the metal, that's when I realized the HOA wasn't confused. They were unhinged. It claimed I was a benefiting neighbor. Not a member. Not a resident under their rules. A benefiting neighbor who supposedly owed them money for shared amenities. I don't use their pool. I don't walk their trails. I don't drive their roads. I don't touch a single inch of their property. My land isn't just outside their boundaries. It existed decades before their boundaries were invented. But none of that mattered. The next envelope hit like a pipe bomb. $50,000 in retroactive maintenance fees for the last 10 years. 10 years of imaginary debt. 10 years of fake services. 10 years of HOA fantasy land printed in bold, threatening letters. I wrote one sentence on the envelope and mailed it back. I am not in your HOA. Stop contacting me. They didn't stop. They accelerated. Emails. Phone calls. Letters marked urgent plastered with legal buzzwords they didn't understand. You are non-compliant. You are refusing your financial responsibilities. You are burdening the community. The tone wasn't polite anymore, it was hungry. Like they'd already counted my money, already spent it, and were furious I wasn't handing it over. Then the last notice arrived. One sentence at the bottom, printed so dark it bled through the page. Failure to pay will result in serious consequences. That was the moment everything changed. That was the moment irritation turned into threat. The moment I felt something cold settle in my gut. They weren't requesting anymore. They were coming for me. The harassment didn't just escalate. It mutated overnight. I woke to wooden barricades dumped at the mouth of my driveway, nailed together like some crude checkpoint. Someone had spray-painted "Under Review" across them in blocky red letters, as if the HOA suddenly owned my gravel. Flyers papered my gate, layered so thick they slapped in the wind like warning flags. Pending enforcement action. Final demand. Mandatory compliance. All empty threats, but delivered with the confidence of people who believed they had real power. And nights were worse. Shadows moving across my porch. A fist hitting the window hard enough to rattle the glass. Voices outside chanting my name like I was the problem in their neighborhood. Once, a packet so thick it looked like a phone book appeared on my doorstep, stuffed with red-inked $50,000 demands, printed repeatedly like they thought sheer volume could break me. Neighbors started whispering. One finally pulled me aside, eyes wide, voice shaking. They've been meeting in secret, talking about forced compliance. They're building something. Planning something huge. It wasn't harassment anymore. It was strategy. Every day a new flyer. Every night a new noise. Barricades shifting closer. Lights sweeping across my land like search beams. They weren't trying to intimidate me. They were conditioning me. Wearing me down, inch by inch, until the moment they'd push all the way inside. And standing there, staring at another barricade dumped across the gravel, I understood something with absolute clarity. This wasn't going to fade. This wasn't going to slow. The HOA was preparing for a strike. And I needed to be ready when it landed. I finally snapped. Every notice, every threat, every whisper outside my windows had stacked into one undeniable truth: the HOA was trying to take my land, and they thought I couldn't fight back. So I built my arsenal. Property deeds stamped decades before the HOA existed. Zoning maps proving my boundaries were off limits. Screenshots of every fake invoice and fabricated membership notice. And the best piece of all, camera footage capturing board members creeping onto my land at night, measuring my gate like thieves, yanking on fence posts, and leaving illegal compliance tags. When the officials arrived, county, law enforcement, and my attorney, the HOA walked up wearing those smug little smiles like they'd already won. They didn't see the ambush coming. I laid everything out on the tailgate of a truck: documents, videos, timestamps, maps. Then I hit play. The footage turned the entire tone on its head. There they were, HOA board members caught red-handed trespassing, prying at my fence, leaving threats, and measuring what wasn't theirs. The officials' faces went stone cold. My lawyer didn't say a word, he didn't have to. "Explain this," the county inspector demanded. The HOA president opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Her board members shifted like kids caught with stolen candy, whispering excuses that died before they formed. Their authority evaporated in real time. Every lie. Every fake claim. Every intimidation tactic. Gone, exposed under the weight of proof they couldn't wiggle around. For the first time since this nightmare started, the HOA wasn't loud, confident, or bold. They looked small. Cornered. Terrified. And as they stared at the evidence stacked between us, I felt power settle back where it belonged, on my side of the property line. The ruling didn't drag on. It hit like a hammer. Within minutes of reviewing the documents and footage, county officials stated it plainly: my land was fully independent, never part of the HOA, and never under their authority. Every demand, every notice, every mandatory fee was not just invalid, it was illegal. The HOA didn't just lose. They were exposed. Harassment fines came first, stacked, thick, unavoidable. Then penalties for falsifying claims. Then trespassing violations, each tied to the board members caught sneaking, measuring, and threatening on camera. The judge made sure the punishment was personal. No hiding behind titles. No blaming the board. Names were listed. Responsibility assigned. Authority stripped clean. The $50,000 debt they tried to pin on me. Declared fraudulent on the record. Void. Gone. A scam that boomeranged straight back onto them. Neighbors who once watched from a distance now whispered openly about the board's arrogance, their lies, their collapse. The smirks they'd worn for months evaporated the moment the truth hit daylight. And when the officials ordered all contact with me to stop immediately, no notices, no emails, no attempts to comply, I felt the tension of months finally break. For the first time in a long time, my land felt mine again. No threats. No lies. No shadow hanging over my gate. I didn't just shut down their harassment. I dismantled their entire operation, publicly, legally, permanently. Peace didn't arrive all at once. It crept back like sunlight after a long storm, slow, warm, undeniable. The mailbox stayed empty. No more fake bills. No warnings. No threats pretending to be reminders. The driveway, once a parade route for HOA cars creeping by at 2 a.m., stayed silent. No more engines idling. No more silhouettes watching from the edge of my land. For the first time in months, my home felt like a home again, not a battleground. Neighbors who used to avoid eye contact now gave small nods, then real ones, then quiet thank yous. They weren't scared anymore. Someone had finally stood up to the board, and they knew exactly what that meant for them, too. Sometimes I'd think back to the night I grabbed the shotgun. Not to use it, I never intended that. But because fear, exhaustion, and pressure had stacked so high I needed something that reminded me I wasn't helpless. It wasn't a weapon that night. It was a line in the sand. A reminder that my land had boundaries, and I was done letting anyone cross them. In the end, I kept everything that mattered. My land. My quiet. My freedom. My dignity. And the HOA walked away with a lesson they wouldn't forget. When you push the wrong person long enough, you don't just lose the fight. You lose your power.